Hello, my name is Matt, and I want to thank you for joining me here on our YouTube channel. And today I'm doing something a little different, and I'm going to use my whiteboard here just to give you a visual for what I want to talk to you about today. And the reason I picked today's subject is because just this week I have spoken with two homeowners who are in the midst of the foreclosure process. And they have taken a course of action that I'm not going to say is the wrong course, because I believe every homeowner has the right to choose their own pathway. But I just want to make sure that you're aware of some of the pitfalls or challenges of this particular path for solving the foreclosure. Before I go any further, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself, because I am a licensed real estate broker in the state of North Carolina since 1998. But I'm also a real estate investor, and my main focus in my investing is, first and foremost, is to help homeowners save their home when they're in the foreclosure process, because there are correct ways to handle the foreclosure process where you can, if you take the right steps, many times you can get the foreclosure stopped and you don't lose your home or you don't lose your equity. Those are the two things that are at risk. And quite honestly, since what happened during the COVID time, we all thought the real estate market was going to crash and go down, and sort of the opposite happened. It took off and went crazy, and you probably heard about it. If you didn't experience it, the interest rates dropped down, people refinanced, they bought more expensive homes, and people were bidding homes up to the high levels that they are today, which is a challenging thing. So there is equity in a lot of your homes, so you don't want to lose them to foreclosure. So that's what I want to talk to you today is the avenue that these particular homeowners have taken were to enter into a listing agreement with a real estate broker, wanting to sell their home on the traditional method on the multiple listing service. And I will tell you that it is true, excluding the foreclosure scenario. If you're not in foreclosure, the best way to get the highest dollar amount for your home is through a broker on the open market, where you get more and more. There's a large volume of people to compete for your home. Absolutely true. I tell people that all the time. It is a little, and it's very easy for a real estate broker who maybe is not familiar with all the nuances of being in foreclosure would promote that to you. And you know, it can happen. I don't want to be a bunch of cold water on your hopes by any means, but you need to be aware of some of the realities that you face. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. So I'd like to start off just sort of reviewing quickly and comparing the foreclosure timeline to what is a traditional sale multiple listing service with a broker sale timeline, okay? So I'll try to stay out of the way here. So foreclosure timeline, it all starts when you get the notice of default. That's the letter that you got in the mail that says, hey, we've set a hearing date for you. And that hearing date, come on, work for me, is out here. And that's going to be your hearing date. Get your hearing date. And pretty consistently in North Carolina, that's 60 days. 60 days. Now, at the hearing date, that's when the clerk of court reviews what the lender, the reasons the lender says that they have justification to set an auction date. And so very often, most all the time, an auction date gets set, and that auction date is 30 days out. So you can see the format that North Carolina set up, that it can happen. Your home can be sold in as short as 90 days. Okay, that's pretty quick. Now I will tell you, and there's strategies that we're working with you and trying to help you get your foreclosure stopped or delayed, or you need more time. Then we can work with you, and there's various strategies used to maybe request a delay. You don't always get them, okay? But there are several different ways that we can help with, but that's not the topic today. So you've got about 90 days to work with. Okay. Now, if you choose to list your home with the broker, the reality is this: very few people prior to this date are thinking about selling their home. In fact, when you get the foreclosure notice, your first instinct is to say, how do we save our home? How do we get out of this? It's not to say, how do we got to sell our home right now. That's just not normal, okay? Really, hardly anybody that's in foreclosure comes off from the very beginning and says, okay, we got to get out of this house. They look for, and they should look for ways to save their home. So at this point right here, when you get that notice of default, is not really usually when you pull the trigger. That's probably when you call listing your real estate friend or a real estate broker to ask them, what should you do if you had to sell your home? Maybe you're just doing it to consider it as an option. So let's just do this. Let's say there's 10 days here, which would be very short to make the decision that you're going to sell your home. But let's just be conservative. So it's 10 days, and then you make a decision to list your home. Okay? Well, now what happens? You've got to take time to, if you're going to list your home and you want to get the best price you can, what you got to do? You got to clean things up, fix what you can, organize, right? The broker's got to get the paperwork signed. She's got to get photos taken and get those back from the photographer, get them loaded up into the MLS. She's got to research all of the tax records and all the things about the home so they can make sure that the information they're putting in the MLS is correct. So, that's usually, it's usually another 10 days before it actually goes live on the MLS. So let's just say another 10 days. So you got 20 days there. So now you have 40 days left until the hearing. Now, I went through several of the counties right close to Wake County just to see what was the number of days on the market before you went under contract. And Wake County is it's like 20 days. But some of the other peripheral counties are up to 60 days. So I think it's very conservative. It's reasonable to say that it's probably going to, and because you're also looking for a very specialized buyer, any buyer won't work. So your pool of buyers when you're in foreclosure is very different. So let's just say 45 days to find that, right? So here you're at 60, that's 20, so that's 40. So you're right here, 45 days. So hopefully in that 45 days, you're under contract. Now, when you go under contract, that means that lots of things happen then, right? So you go under contract and you're going to have an appraisal done. So they're going to come in and determine whether the contract price is correct, is within the range that the lender feels comfortable creating a loan on. Then there's going to be inspections. Now your real estate agent's going to tell you, well, since you're in foreclosure, we're going to say sell as is. We're going to sell it as is. But I will tell you that they're still going to do an inspection. And when they do the inspection, if you've ever seen one, inspectors do a really good job of making a really long laundry list of things that need to be repaired. And they may not ask you to do those repairs because they will know, and here's another point, they will know you're in foreclosure. It's on Zillow, it's a public record, their buyer's agent is going to research your home, she's going to find out. So your buyer already knows you're in a position of a high motivation. It's going to impact the pricing they're going to make off they're going to make. So inspections is going to cost you money off your offer, and a minimum, pretty common, $5,000 in repairs is not. That's often, very often. And then also during this time, you got to get your loan approved. Loan approval. All right. You have to get the loan approved. And you know what? This is really a key point. Not everybody gets approved. All right. Sometimes they have to go to a second lender, right? So this 30 days is normal for a normal loan approval before closing. And now here's one of the key points that I want to make to you is if you sign on for a listing with a real estate broker, you basically have one shot at it. First of all, you need to find a buyer that can definitely, absolutely, if it's not a cash buyer, which is going to be, we'll talk about that in a minute, then it needs to be a buyer that doesn't have to sell another home. It needs to be a buyer that can definitely get qualified and already has his money lined up. Because all it takes is one buyer or one lender saying, no, we can't lend, and they have to go to another lender, and you're on your auction date. So you have one, with a listing agent, with a real estate broker, you have one shot at this, and it has to work. Otherwise, the auction date will be upon you. Another thing that I have found, I mentioned I had talked to 2 people today that signed on with a broker, and I personally would not do this as a listing agent for someone who is in foreclosure, because they signed them up for a 12-month listing agreement. 12 months, and they only have 120 days until their home is sold. And they only get one shot at it with a broker. Honestly, if you look at, the broker should look at it and say, hey, if they get to this hearing date, and if I don't have a buyer and they've only got 30 days until the auction, I'm not a good option anymore. I want to free them up from that listing agreement so that they can pursue other avenues. Whatever avenue is out, there's other avenues out there to be able to sell their home. And but I think so. One person was just, they were hamstrung. They signed a 12-month listing agreement, and the agent wasn't letting them out of it. So that's an important note to remember. So anyway, let's talk about some of the financial considerations, what you can expect. So timing, what we've just gone over shows you that with the broker you get one shot, and so it has to work. So let's talk a little bit about what kind of buyers and what will the buyers know and how will the buyers view the whole situation with you being in foreclosure. First of all, they will know. They're going to know you're in foreclosure, so they know that right there is going to cause them to be more aggressive. They're going to price aggressively. All right. That sounds unfair, sounds unkind. It's just the reality of business, and you would probably do the same thing. So they're going to know that. Your broker is going, the listing broker is going to put in there as selling as is, right? And I will say this: most homeowners in foreclosure don't have the money to do the repairs that need to be done, and so you don't want to lose that deal. So the buyers are really have an upper hand here, and so like I mentioned, the inspectors are going to make a long list of repair items, and this is what your buyer is going to do. They're going to look at that long list, and they're going to put a number to it, and it's not going to be a small number. I would venture to say it's going to be 10% of your contract price. Whatever they offer, whatever they would offer, they're going to take 10% more off, right? So let's just say you're offering your list price is $300,000. All right, so at $300,000, they're going to let's just say that they're going to offer 10% less just because of this pricing aggressively. Very normal that they're going to take 10% off that, so that's going to put you at $270. Okay, at this price, then they're going to take another 10% off for repairs. Okay, so that's another 10%, and it would be $27,000, but I'm going to make it easy for me, so I'm going to say another 30 off. So that takes it down to $240. And then when you close on a home, you can basically, it's about 10, when you consider commissions and closing costs, the industry standards, you just ballpark, another 10%. Okay, so that's going to put you at 220. Now I'm going to let you into a little secret here. A cash buyer, an investor, if you called an investor to your home and said, give me a quick number on what you could give me for my home, cash, quickly. The formula they're going to use is they're going to look at the 300,000, let's call this the fair market value. They're going to look at that number and they're going to say minus or times 70%, which is that number. Now, so it's very what I'm trying to point out here is not to exhaust all hope in a sale on the MLS. It may not be this dramatic, but it's got the very strong possibility that it will be that dramatic. But let's just think about this. Let's just say that that 10% goes away and you're at 240. So you're looking at a $20,000 difference between maybe an investor offer and 220 and a MLS sale at 240. And so you go the MLS route and you just bite hard on that, and all of a sudden the unexpected, the nightmare happens, and the MLS buyer falls through, and you're no longer you're on top of your auction date. So this is the question you have to ask you. So for this small amount of an absolute sure sale or a sale at risk with the MLS, is it worth it to go with the MLS option? It can be. It's your choice. I'm just trying to paint some realities for you so you can make the best decision. Now, there's one other thing I want to point out for you that you may not be aware of. And let me say this about investors. I think we get a bad rap. At least I think I get a bad rap. But not all investors are evil opportunists. They really serve a role for people that get into a position, and they can at least help you not lose all the equity in your home. Okay, so some of the things that investors, some of the things that we do for people that we help, is when we buy your home, we help with the moving expenses. Okay, we also help you find a home or an apartment. We also get you tied in with a credit repair person. Credit repair. You know why we do that? Because we want you to get in a home as soon as you can after this. Because we want to be the source of that home. Because we are, you know what we're going to do? We do with homes that we buy, we fix them up, and then we resell them. And very often when we resell, we handle the financing. Which means you don't have to go to a bank. We'll be your bank, and we'll get you some really fair financing and help you get in that home. Which, that in itself, if you follow through with a credit repair, we want to be there to help you. You've proven yourself. And we want to reward you and help you find another home at a value, and we can help you get finance for it. All right? The other thing is, very often you've got more stuff in your house than you can find a place to put it. There's probably lots of things that you don't want to spend time or money moving. You don't have to take anything. Anything you want to leave, you leave it. We clean the house out for you. You don't charge you nothing. So we really try to make it as easy as possible for you. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I've tried to speak truth, and from a perspective that I don't think you might hear very often. If you go to Google and you look at investors buying homes, we're always portrayed as, crooks and opportunists. But listen, we are very often have a heart for people that are in trouble and they need help, and that's where we want to help. So thank you for your time, and give us a call anytime you want at www.foreclosuresolutionsnorthcarolina.com.